We did it.
Welcome to Delusions of Automotive Grandeur. It took me a minute to remember what this place is called, what we're doing, where I am. This is Brent above me or diagonally, however, and that is Charlie below me. I am Stephen of the clan 1965 Ford. It's been a while. We were off last week. Brent was, y'all may not recognize this by the fact that you see his apartment behind him and think, okay, this is a regular human being. But Brent is actually a globalist multi-billionaire who was exploring property in Washington State, his spare location to live. And so he was unavailable last week.
I was fighting fires and
Fought
smoke.
fires. Oh, that's true. Did you have to drive through all that to get up and down from there?
Yep.
Did you
So
survive?
what I was telling Charlie earlier, before you popped in, when we were driving back Sunday, I think it was Sunday, we went through Oregon, and I mean, it was just crazy smoke all over. Can't really see much, so on and so forth. And got into southern Oregon, almost at the border of California. And I look over and see a Home Depot, and literally lot was packed. I mean, you probably could not find a parking spot in the place.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, that's weird. Like, why? And nothing really clicked up until I saw black out of the corner of my eye on the other side, and where once were buildings no longer stood.
Wow.
And I mean, it's really crazy to see. And I mean, I know you hear it all the time from everybody else where, you could have 5 houses all in a row. One house in the middle is perfectly fine standing there. The other 4 are gone. And that's exactly how it is.
Do you think the Home Depot was like all cinder block and stuff, and so it sort of survived?
There wasn't any fire around that. Everything around that area was good. So that's where it's like, all right, there's this clump of houses over here, perfectly fine. And then next block down, well, not really a block, but you know what I mean? It's just completely wiped out.
Yeah.
Overall. And it's just...
That's super sad.
It sucks seeing it.
Yeah. Absolutely awful, for sure.
Yep.
Charlie, have you witnessed any calamity in the past 2 weeks?
No calamity on that scale. I mean, really nothing really compares.
Just the standard 2020 stuff.
Yeah, I mean, went for a drive in the Volvo yesterday, which was like fine. It ran, so that was a
victory.
That was a little victory. It started up after not being charged or anything for like quite a while, and still put it on the trickle charger, but then took it around for a spin, and then like still managed to nearly get T-boned by someone speeding, and just 2020 stuff.
I had my 2020 incident today. I was driving home on 64, and someone was doing 58 in the fast lane for about a mile.
Oof.
And I was just chilling in the right lane, man. Like I used to be like a 75 person. Now I'm like a 70 person.
Oh.
And 170 is what I mean. But like, so I was just sort of chilling in the right lane. All of a sudden I'm realizing that I'm like starting to pass people in the right lane, which was not my intention, but they're going so slow in the fast. I'm like, oh, so I kind of get off the gas and start coasting. And I'm next to a unique car. Usually when you're in Virginia and you end up next to someone pissed off, it's either me or it's like a large pickup truck, with like maybe a certain political affiliation attached to it via sticker, and rolling coal. And but in this case, it was a burgundy metallic Prius with Joe Biden stickers all over it, who finally got impatient behind the car doing 58 miles an hour and just 45 degrees it into the right lane without looking. And dude, I was covering the brake, but if I hadn't been, it would have been bad. And my professional, I'm an adult response was to hold the horn down for about 10 seconds while flicking them off with both hands, so I was not holding the steering wheel.
I definitely did that on my trip too.
Yeah. And the bird part, I'm kind of pissed off myself. I wish that wouldn't happen. The honking was fine. They needed to understand.
It's just a natural reflex at that point.
I know. And I always end up getting off at the on-ramp right behind him at a stop sign or something. And I'm like,
yeah, you're like, ooh, like, yeah. I've had
I have a tail. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say I've been on both the receiving and giving end of that before, where gunned it to get in front of somebody on a merge on an on-ramp into traffic, and the person who I merged in front of was not thrilled that I had decided to gun it instead of lifting. And why should I lift?
I have a good starter question for you guys. Okay, so
what you got?
Technically the law is the person merging does not have the right of way. Correct. They have a yield sign, right?
Correct.
So when people move over, that's a courtesy.
Yeah.
Lately, what's been happening for me is that, well, there is an exception I learned about in my business law class, which I'll tell you about in a minute. But lately, I've had this problem that I move over to make it a little easier for someone to come in.
Sure.
I have helped them, but then they speed up so I can't get back in the right lane. And instead of for them just chilling out for a second so I can get back over and then they can go 80, they start to accelerate and then I can't get back over because like this train of cars I just moved over to let on is now preventing me from getting the right lane. I'm sort of like, maybe I'll just start hanging out. I'll just stay in the right lane, but then you're that guy and you don't want to, I mean, obviously I would never let it something like a wreck happen where someone goes flying off the end of the thing, but it's like, two things. One, do you guys have any on-ramp stories about that? And do you move over for people all the time or just some of the time? And two, do you believe, we'll start with Brent, that people should have to actually go back to driving school once a decade or something instead of just 16 and then done?
Thoughts? Yes, and yeah, yes.
Okay, that was easy.
Yeah, that was.
I always move over for people, regardless. I don't, as long as it's safe on my side, I'm gonna be moving over, and I hope the same is for me. I mean, when I'm entering the road, with a Mini, you're just gonna balls out, floor it.
Yeah,
you're gonna get there. So like, I don't know. I've never really had the issue of nobody letting me in or anything on that order.
Yeah.
So
I also think about the driving you must be doing right now on the West Coast, and even in the recent past year, whatever, is so very different than what we experience on East Coast driving. Like, I'm thinking of Steven's route, which is mostly rural, 64, 250 into town, and like my own commute is like pretty much nothing to write home about. Like it's 5 minutes of basically like if I break 45 on my commute, I'm like I probably might have broken some laws on the way, which like that says a lot. Like it's all 25, 35 by roads, etc. But yeah, so I'm interested.
I mean, I don't have a commute, so
I mean,
my commute is a 20-second walk from the bedroom into the living room to work.
The miles on.
So, I mean, our per se commute is every weekend going to get groceries or, going down to the beach, something on that order.
Right.
So this past weekend was the longest trip, honestly, with the car. I forget how long of a trip it was for. I mean, it's technically 2 days each way.
Right.
And I believe, it was roughly 8 to 8.5 hours per day.
Nice.
Overall. So car did great. I was actually very surprised at how comfortable the seats were for being a cheaper car, especially for being a long road trip. So I was happy with it.
Did you bring the dog?
Yep. And cat.
You brought the cat too? That's awesome.
Yep.
By the way, y'all, an exception to the whole technically legally you don't have to move over thing is my business law class. We studied that if you are a professional driver, like an 18-wheeler driver or something like that, you're actually held to a higher legal standard than a conventional driver. And you should realize that moving over, since you have a higher level of training and expertise, you should realize that moving over is more than just a courtesy. It could actually alleviate like a wreck situation. So you couldn't be held criminally liable, but you could be held civilly liable in that case. But like Joe Blow, like you and I could not. If we just stayed and didn't move over and someone crashed off the end, it wouldn't be your fault legally.
Right.
All right. So I have first thing I'm going to do. I have two things. One is I want to show y'all a bad joke that's on the side of the goldfish container.
Your ask and questions, and yeah, I 100% support someone getting retrained and
Oh yeah.
recerted every 10 years or something like that. Like thinking about actually the yield thing onto an interstate or merge lane in general on to any road. I had someone try to argue that if the merge lane has a yield sign, you have to stop. And this is a person who's been driving for decades at this point, and I'm just like, a yield sign doesn't mean stop. It literally means yield right of way.
You may have to stop, but you don't have to stop it.
You don't have to stop. And if anything, you should not stop if possible, because that's how bad traffic starts. But anyways, yeah.
Well, I'm going to write a letter to someone and we're going to get that reinstated. You think states would be all over too, because it could be a money grab. You could say, you know, you need to do this every 10 years and, you know, it costs $200. Give us money. We like money.
Yeah.
All right. I want to tell you all a tale. I want to give people tell the story of what it's like to ship a car, because it's certainly not something I'd ever done before. And you guys, as our fans will know, that I have been in the process of acquiring, I believe you guys can see the Falcon now, right?
We can see the Falcon.
Okay, good. Okay. So
we don't see any other screens.
Okay, no, that's okay. The company I use is called Reliable. It's like the big orange truck you've probably seen on the interstate at some point or another. And I learned about them. I believe it was like Chasing Classic Cars. I think Wayne Carini used them or something for Pebble Beach or one of these fancy smanchy things. And so when I was doing this, you know, it's sort of like an advertiser's dream where someone's like, I need to do this task. I'll just go with that one I saw in that ad. You know, it's like someone's happy somewhere in an advertising department. But you know, when you're shipping a car, you have insurance concerns, you have you know, how long will it take? You know, can you trust this person? Does my car run? Do the tires hold air if it's like a barn find like this one? So there's a lot of things to sort of wonder about and to sort of like maybe worry about a little bit. I wasn't really worried, but I have to say that this company, and obviously I'm not sponsored by them, yet they are beeping fantastic. Like, you know, Brent, if you ever need to ship your Subaru, just use these guys. Don't even look at anyone else. Like their driver, like, I actually don't want to talk too much about what he did just in case he helped too much. But let's just say that like my Falcon's now in my garage, and that wasn't necessarily part of what had been discussed. You know what I mean? Basically, he wouldn't leave. He was like too pumped, and we were using ratchet straps and using my Escape as an anchor point. It was great. My Escape had a purpose for the first time in a while. But anyway, so I've got some pictures to share too. So this is probably, it took about, after I booked it, their dispatch had to, you know, have a truck going by at the right time. And it took maybe about 2 weeks for that to happen. But then the actual shipping process only took about 2 to 3 days. And given that's from Northern Ohio to here, and they had to stop in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, Northern Virginia, and then here.
So now I have to interrupt and ask. So your Ford Escape had a purpose. So your Ford's one purpose in life was to pull another Ford into your garage.
Yeah, think about how perverse that is. Neither of them worked, but they both served a purpose to move another Ford.
I'm mostly thinking of the old acronym for Ford that was always said in jest, and it's still so true.
Yeah, I just couldn't think of I don't know what it could possibly be.
Found on rack. Found on
on road rack. Dead. I don't know.
I don't know.
No, I just don't know. I mean, I think was it Fix or Repair Daily? That was another one I liked.
Fix or Repair Daily. Found on road dead. You know.
Well,
both.
In this case, the Escape is going to have another further purpose, which is when I finally sell it, it's going to pay for the Falcon, which is nice. But anyway, so this is it. I mean, this is the car. This is the shipping photos. The guy, because the car didn't run, he needed to take everything that ran off first. If you think about the logistics of moving cars across the country, the order that they're loaded really matters.
Oh yeah.
And so this was supposed to take 2 hours. It took him 6 hours to get my car loaded because he had to take all these other things off and put things back on. And one of the cars was a 1940 Ford, which is a very tall car. And it was just to go on the upper deck and it wouldn't fit. So he had to rearrange the lower cars to get that because it was just chaos.
It was like
and everything that could go wrong did. Gotcha. But he was there for 6 hours. My uncle gave him cookies. The driver was very appreciative of that. and they did eventually get the car out of there. The truck was actually coming from an RM auction, and the yellow Mustang you see there is an 11,000 mile documented Boss 302 from 1970. It's like $140,000 car,
Cool.
and it's all original, untouched. That's why it's in a plastic bag.
I was wondering. I was like, so did you get that story? Because like,
yeah, that's a serious car, ladies and gentlemen, and thankfully it had the plastic bag so the Falcon didn't drip on it because the Falcon
rust on it.
Of that. But so that's that picture, and then let me go to the next one. There's just another angle. There's my uncle in the background.
I was gonna say, just think this photo is worth about whatever $140,000 is, and the value of your car now.
And the Falcon. The Falcon's probably. Well, I'll tell you more. I'll tell you more about the condition of it maybe another time. We're just really talking about moving it, but that's the company.
Oh,
it looks like I've rear-ended the back of that, which is nice. And by the way, as I recall, Charlie, the Falcons used to race at Goodwood as well, along with Mustangs back in the 60s against Minis. Yeah. And they were two-door hardtops like this. So it was the same body style as this.
There's some good videos of, especially in the, with the revival circuit, there's always some really good ones.
Yep. And so this is where it's arrived. It was all the way up at the front on the top, and that, it's funny, Charlie, this is where the detailing side of this you're going to start to enjoy. So you'll see what looks like scratches behind the front, like to the right of the door. Mm-hmm. That's actually just wax that's been on there a long time and dried.
Oh,
so
wow.
It looks like scratches. I was freaking when I first saw it, but it's funny because the side of the car, my uncle had to walk by it a lot.
Uh-huh.
So over the years, that didn't stay very dirty, but the top of the car is like true barn find dirt where it's like palpably thick, and that towel rubbed off some of the dirt that was, it's obviously not ideal to scrub dirt into something, right? But he had to lean into there a lot because the truck is so tight up there to like do stuff.
Yep.
And that sort of cleared some of the dirt off the top of the door. Yeah. And this is single stage paint. It was done in probably 1995. It was not a hyper professional job, but it was not a junk job. But it's always been stored in a dried garage since then. And it's not faded, obviously, from being in the sun. It's brilliantly red. And Charlie, I'm telling you, man, we're going to wax the crap out of this thing, and it's going to actually look pretty darn good.
You have, as long as you're around, you can steal my orbital tool and touch up any areas you need to.
Well, I think it would be great. I mean, you can already tell in this photo. I mean, it's actually dirty, but it actually looks pretty red, Oh yeah.
I mean,
and it was a little scary watching this part, but I figure since it can handle like full size Cadillacs from the 50s, that this little 25, and by the way, this is 230 pounds lighter than the Mustang. And I don't exactly know how that's possible. Oh, the 6-cylinder. That's it.
I kind of love the little quick clamp
Yeah.
mirror on the door. That's brilliant.
Yep. And that's so they can tell if the front bumper is going to clear the lower deck as it's coming.
Yeah. Oh no. I figured it was something like that for loading. I was like, that's so good.
Yeah. I mean, they're serious about what the fuck they're doing. I mean, these guys are like,
oh yeah,
for real. And that's what I'm telling you. Anyone watching this, you got to ship a car, use these guys. They're amazing. The next photo is my favorite one.
Oh my
It's
God.
my mom.
That's awesome.
And she's sitting in the Falcon. This is the first time she has sat in a Falcon since 1966, I think.
Wow.
She had a 63 that my grandfather gave her to go to college. And he's like, here, go to college. First girl in the family to ever go to college. You get this car and nothing else to help you go to college. Like she had to work like 4 jobs and everything. Like, and her Falcon, the electric choke didn't work. Or no, I'm saying, the electric choke didn't work. So she had to use pliers to hold the butterfly valve open while her friend cranked the car.
Oh my gosh.
So she was pretty happy to be in there. And it's a bench seat, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Tight.
That's the biggest quarter window in the history of time.
Is it missing an interior door panel?
Yeah, it's missing them. In the back seat, you'll see a red and white set. That's actually for a Mercury Comet, an original set. I'm going to clean those up and sell those because someone with a Mercury Comet's going to want them. They reproduce black door cards for this. They're about $200. I'll be getting a set of those. The backs are perfect and they'll blend together nicely.
Nice.
And here's one of the evidence of the door, the paint job not being the best. They were great with the bright work. None of the bright work got red paint. Yeah. But you'll see they just painted over the door stops and stuff, Yeah. And the rubber up here. So little details like over the winter, I'm going to unscrew that, take it off, watch football and scrub it with brass, steel wool or something like that till it's clean again.
Hit it with some Scotch Brite.
And then honestly, the Mustang was in the way for what we were trying to do. And I'm like, oh, so I can get a picture of them together because the Falcon's not going to leave the garage for another year probably. So it's like, might as well get a couple shots of them. So they look good together.
That's good.
One of my, and by the way, this is the new lowered Mustang. It's now 1.25 inches lower in the back. I don't know
purpose
why
or
that brown is
accidental?
there. And then this is a Charlie. You may enjoy this. Note the custom exhaust on the Falcon.
Yeah, it looks real good. I see Muffler Dragon is back in fashion, huh?
I got to say, we're looking at this. It's beautiful. It's great, right? Look at Brent's face right now. Look at the envy about the exhaust. You can just read it. He's like, I wish
I had that.
He's like, I wish my black Mini
You
had exhaust that dragged on the ground.
Well, the thing is, it needs side exit exhaust. So I think now that it's fallen down, you know where to put the exhaust now.
So basically, 2 of the hangers have failed and need to be replaced. But that is the original factory exhaust with transverse muffler. That is actually if it's not destroyed from hanging like this for however long, it's actually quite good still. It's not rusty. And this is when we managed to get it up the hill. I have a video, but I couldn't quite get it to work. Where we pulled it with my dad's 2-wheel drive, non-limited slip Ranger up a fairly steep gravel incline, which it still worked though.
Low and slow, man.
Yeah, I was just steady. I had the overdrive off, locked it in first gear, and just kept it like steady.
Yep.
And then the last trick was getting it to here. And, Charlie, and I guess both of y'all have been there, like, there's that slant leading up to the garage. And the 3 of us trying to push that up there where my mom was in there steering, I did like a face plant in the gravel, where like I'm pushing in the middle and my foot slips in the gravel. I just go poof on the ground. I'm like, don't stop pushing. And I'm getting up, trying to like claw back to the car to start pushing again. And in the end, we were like, okay, we need the driver is like, or actually the driver did not help us get it in the house. We were trying to figure out, how to get it in there. And maybe someone was like, do you have anything we can anchor it to? And I was like, we were walking around the garage for about 3 minutes before we both looked at the Escape at the same time. And we're like, So we're like, this deceased car that's sitting here. So I had a big old chunk. It looked like an orange slice of chestnut oak. And I chalked the front of the Escape with that and had it in park with the parking brake on and used an electric winch to just, anchor off the Escape and just slowly pull the Falcon in.
That's amazing.
And look how unfaded the turning signals even are on that thing. It's amazing.
You got to get that thing running. And don't even worry about who gives a shit about the paint. Like,
yeah.
Worry about that later. But that's really cool, man.
Yeah, I'm glad you dig it, man. I definitely want you to check it out at some point. You're gonna like it. It's got a lot of potential. I'm super excited. Like you said, I want to focus on the Mustang. The rear axle on the Mustang needs a little help, but then once that's settled, then this will get a little bit of love. I'm gonna do affordable stuff for now.
Yeah.
You can see there's the wax again. By the way, Brent, there is a little bit of JDM here. By the way, that is a Toshiba replacement sealed beam headlight bulb from I don't know what decade.
There you go.
Amazing.
And but Charlie, you see a little bit of like kind of orange peel up here.
Yep.
And my theory is simply that it could, since it's single stage paint, I'm pretty sure you can cut and buff it, and just polish it back to shiny. That's if I care. I'm probably just gonna polish the shit out of it, and wax it and call it a day.
Yeah.
But, and then I've got the original hubcap. These are obviously they're stainless. They're going to clean up real nice. But the fun part is that most of them did not have that spinner. That spinner was a fairly rare option and are fairly expensive to get now. My uncle found a set of 4 of them at a swap meet in like 1995 for $20. So
wow,
there's a little bit of taste of the paint where it's a little cleaner around the badge.
Was the insert supposed to be painted red, white, blue situation?
Red, white, and blue, yeah. I'm obviously that'll be a fun project to touch up while watching football or something later in the fall. Tiny brush.
I was gonna say, yeah, get in there with like some model paint or something.
Oh yeah, little tiny stuff, and I'm kind of dreading doing the white above the shoulder of the bird. See that little thing of white that's got to go there.
I've seen some recommendations for tools and things. You and I can rap about later.
Okay, maybe a toothpick even. I don't know.
It's basically what I was going to recommend.
This is one of my favorite parts.
It's it's literally like what they call it, a pinstriping tool, and it's literally like it's a needle tip with like a hopper on top of it, basically.
Oh wow! Well,
and just like you just literally drop it in, and it kind of fills in.
Well, the last thing I've shown you is one of my favorite discoveries of this car. one of my absolute favorite discoveries. So the trunk, rust free. Like it's unfreaking real. But I found this.
Ah,
So the
amazing.
thing is I did a little research. You know how the internet you can basically find anything, right?
Yep.
I found the one thing that no one's been interested enough in to do, one bit of minutia, and that is dating a U-Haul logo. No one really cares about that on Earth. But what I found was in the end is that this logo with the little guy holding the U, there, have you guys ever seen like the mid '60s Ford Econoline vans, the little tiny things, and they
Yeah.
had like the step side, kind of like the Corvair with the fold down side ramps and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I saw a reproduction toy of a '60s U-Haul van you could rent, and it had that logo. So I'm going to run with this being a 1960s logo, which means
Wow.
someone in Jacksonville, Florida, had a white two-door hardtop Falcon with the inline six that they spent $400 on air conditioning in, which is a $4,000 today thing option, and they were towing a trailer with it.
Yep.
And that's
There
what
you
I'll
go.
close the story with. If you need to ship a car, use Reliable. They're awesome. And that's basically all I got, Brent. If you ever have to ship that Subaru, just use them. They're amazing. And the price is like $930. It would have been $830, but the car didn't run, so they knew it was gonna be a pain to push around.
If you ever need to tow something with your Ford Falcon, use U-Haul.
Yes, you just go. It's already pre-wired. It's got the little harness in there from 1965.
I'm
sure that's not a fire hazard at this point.
yeah. Your Permalite connectors just burst into flame the moment they take a charge across them.
Yeah, the under dash harness, the wiring is like it's like bending an oak tree branch.
Don't do
It's
it.
like it's not. It's like. Thankfully, being a '60s Ford, and related to a Mustang, the under hood wiring harness, the complete harness, already wired, ready to go in, all the plugs, everything is like, I think $120, and it's made in America.
Yeah, I've been
hand connected and everything.
I've been watching a bunch of videos as of late, and one of them is dealing with the using like the easy harnesses that just like full swap all the like wiring and stuff. And I was gonna say that seems like it would be a really good option if you're trying to maybe freshen up the wiring in that car
and avoid the whole fire thing. The most old cars I found, at least that I've witnessed with my uncle's garage and the two that I've owned, is that I mean, for obviously the under dash harness or the under hood harness is the one that has the worst time of it. That's a lot of temperature extremes and it's the one thing that's really easy to swap on these cars is that it's not a HDMI connector or something or
fiber optic cable.
Right. It's not like that, but I mean, it does actually have like a hard connected to the dash multi-pin connector thing that you just plug the harness into.
Yep.
So I mean, on my Mustang, I rewired under the hood, and it was like just an absolute walk in the park.
You're like, there's only like 8 plugs. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to make sure the GPS transceiver is hooked up, and the orbital maneuvering system. It's very important in these cars. But yeah, I'm pretty excited, man.
That's good, man. That's really awesome. I'm glad it finally arrived. I know it's been we're in September. You started this journey in June, July, maybe.
It's been an odyssey. Can you believe it's September, man? Holy shit.
I can, sadly.
By the way, the radiator has like a 3/4 inch hole all the way through it, and someone appears to have like done the egg trick or something, and there's some sort of white something lodged in the hole, and it doesn't leak somehow. But
don't trust it.
I don't think I'm gonna stick with that.
Swap that out.
Yeah.
$260. It's blowing the budget, man. This car was gonna be $1,000 to really perfectly get it on a road. That's all new belts, new fluids, new tires, seat belts, which have never been installed on it before, and the door cards and the gas tank.
It's the beauty of an old car. You don't need seat belts.
Yeah, you just fling yourself away from the vehicle like Sterling Moss would do.
Yeah,
just jump out the window.
You can't burn the car if you're not in the car.
That should be a t-shirt.
Please don't.
So what else is new in LA, man? What cars you seen at the gas station lately? Anything cool?
I haven't been home.
Yeah, when did you get back?
So
was it just the other day?
Monday night.
Oh wow.
So I haven't been home. It's just been travel, looking at land, getting prices for everything that needs to be done. So
No car parts, just house parts.
just house parts and, you know, septic
Believe-
designs and wells and
Wasn't the last
hooking
time
up
you
city
made
water.
the last time you made that drive was in a rental Fiesta, right? It was probably a little bit better this time, right?
Yeah, I mean, we just took 5 up, and it's not as good of a view. I'll just put it that way. It's kind of boring, but yeah, it was definitely a lot better in the Mini. We'll say that,
Yeah.
especially with
Imagine.
a yelling cat in the background
Oof.
and a dog that's just sitting there staring at you.
See, I'm kind of hardcore, man. I used to leave my cats their record time being alone, and this sounds cruel, but let me finish the story. There was once 13 days they went on their own. Now, one of my friends came halfway through and checked on him, and she lived in the complex. She would look at him through the window and play with him through the window every couple of days. But I had like 5 litter boxes out and like 30 pounds of food and like water all over the place. They were really happy to see me when they got home, but
Understandable.
Yeah, because this was going to be
Might have
10
been a little
days, and
too
we were
long.
just like, not happening. We'll just throw the cat and dog in, and dog finally got a backyard to run around in. He got
Nice.
multiple backyards, actually, thinking
Hey, me
about it.
too.
But yeah, I mean, technically, we're going to have 3.5 acres of land that he can run around on, and
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Very cool.
dream garage. Well, not really, but
A garage.
it will
Starter
it will
garage.
get there. It will get there.
Yeah.
We'll just put it that way and go
A
from there.
garage is good.
yes.
Yep. So
Cool,
Yeah.
man.
that's basically it.
Start watching all the like Grand Designs stuff now and ruin your budget.
Oh, I already have. That
Yeah,
was
no, it's
months
good.
ago, years ago.
Yeah.
Whatever
Oh.
you do, do not do a cost plus contract. My parents did that.
Ooh,
That was a
what?
disaster.
Fixed firm. I play enough in contracts already to know. Be like,
My dad was did that. I mean, they ended up with a very, very nice house that hasn't really had any problems. They can't fully complain, but
yeah.
that was a little not all right. Yeah, so I guess I always thought there'd be more interstates going north on that route you're on, but there really is just Route 5.
Yeah. Otherwise, you can take 101, and that's the coastal highway. But it's not. I
Isn't it
mean,
the 5
a lot
and
of
the 101.
yeah, whatever. It's a lot of you get into smaller towns and you slow up to 35, 40 miles an hour, and then you speed up to 65 back and forth. And it would be a good road trip road if you have
all the time.
unlimited time overall.
Yeah.
And I mean, even me doing it in the week 3 years ago, because I think what's today? It would have been 3 weeks or 3 years ago this week or last week that I did it. And even just for a week, it was a very quick trip.
Yeah.
And I would definitely recommend probably 2 weeks to do it.
Yeah.
Boy,
Kind of
that's
enjoy
1,100 miles, man. Why did it not occur to me that it's 1,100 miles from?
Because our little East Coast brains can't understand how big the West Coast is.
Golly, man.
Because
Yep.
we've been taught
And that's
wrong.
only going through 3 states.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we've been taught wrong all our lives.
Can't even drive through one state in one day. I mean, you technically could, but
You're going
Oh
east.
my
Just,
lord,
it's
dude,
just nope.
dude. The just a little perspective for you there. Our soon-to-be Northwestern compatriot. It is precisely twice the distance you drove to get to Anchorage. 2,263 miles.
bonkers.
Damn. I really want to do that badly, by the way, one day.
To Anchorage?
Yeah.
Be cool.
Hook
wish
up
there was a
with
coastal
gears and
highway.
gasoline.
Oh
do you
yeah,
think?
that's right. Those boys did do that. That was a good one.
I don't think they made it the entire way last year, but
Yeah.
they wanted to. Came close. I think they crossed over the border into Alaska, but that was it.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
feel
remember
like-
correctly.
I don't remember that whole series concluding. So I don't. Who knows?
Yep.
Man,
And
all
then
of
they just
those.
had one a couple weeks ago on. They had the Tesla and the
Oh yeah,
Evo
the
race
Tesla
car.
versus race car. Yeah,
Yep,
that was
pretty
good. It was real wild. I mean,
and
like,
kind of an eye opener on electric cars.
yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, it was also like, I kind of loved how nonsensical that race car was.
Oh yeah, that too.
I mean, it was like, ooh, that is maybe a bit too much, but
Too much.
You guys
I
see
guess-
the Tri-Motor Ken Block Fiesta ST? Well,
yes,
just Fiesta. I'm not sure it's an ST anymore.
yeah. I haven't. I don't. Can't remember if I watched the video. I was seeing the spy photos when they were before they were revealed that it was, you know, they were like, oh yeah, it's definitely Ken Block, and this is gonna be the thing.
Well,
So,
he the weird thing for him was Charlie was saying this like as he was doing like a burnout trick where the guy that someone stands there with a camera and you're doing burnouts around them. He's doing that in it, and he noticed that it doesn't have a transmission, right? So it was really strange because the speedometer was registering like 140 miles an hour.
yeah.
Like, as he was doing it, and like 3 electric motors, and it was my unibody. It's the previous generation ST. It wasn't or Fiesta wasn't the newer one, and that was just nuts, man. It was like 0 to 60 in like 1.6 or 1.7 or 1.8, somewhere in there. Like it's geared for rally, obviously. It's for like an electric rally racing series.
Yeah, they're doing the EWRC basically.
Yeah. Oh, my brother's Tesla had a mechanical issue.
Wow.
The driver's side sun visor failed. It just falls down now.
That will happen.
I offered to loan him a
There you go.
1965 Falcon one to just sort of screw in there with a sheet metal screw, But we'll see.
You missed the easy joke of, is there a patch to repair that? Come on now. You missed it. You're not going to take that softball? I'll take that softball.
I would never make a joke that lame. Yeah, I would. Anyway.
On that note.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much talked out, right? We good?
Yeah. On that note.
I think on that note, by the way, to the audience, that's the cue. That's like the hook at the Apollo.
Oh gosh.
Yep.
Anyway, so thank you for watching, everyone. We're on Spotify and iTunes and probably another one that I can't remember, and on YouTube, which is where you're watching this. Like, comment, and subscribe, and make us influencers so we can buy Maseratis.
I don't want a Maserati.
We don't need.
It's opposite day. He really wants one. All right, cut. Bye.
All right. Have a good one.